talk for a moment. So I've actually had a couple of people ask me about this, and I want to do something a little different this week. And I want to give you kind of a tour of the overall studio. And this isn't going to take very long. One of the things you're going to learn very quickly with this is that I run a shoestring operation on the most minimal of budgets. But I'm very proud of what I have, and I'm very fortunate to be able to accomplish what I do with the resources I have. I do want to go into a little bit of history about why I got into YouTubing. Actually, and it kind of is interesting parallel with my own SCA career. And a number of years ago, I want to say 2004 or 5 maybe, I really got a chance to see court heraldry firsthand. I got a chance to really, for the first time, to see what it's like not only conducting a court, not only running a court, but the planning that goes into it, the choreography, the scripting, really. And I was hooked. I mean, I was absolutely hooked. I'm like, this is something I want to do with my career. The trouble was that I was living in a province. Actually, at the time, yeah, it was a province. We weren't a shire anymore, which province has no baron and baroness. So the herald I was speaking with said, you should go and travel as much as you can if you really want to do this. So if you look at a map, I was living in Stillwater at the time, and we had the barony of North Keep, that's Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had the barony of Wiesenfeuer in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And we had the barony of Namron, which is Norman, Oklahoma. So every month I would drive to North Keep, then Wiesenfeuer, then Namron, and then by the way, the schedules worked out, I'd loop back home. Usually about the third weekend, I'd loop back home and attend the Populous meeting at Moonshadow in Stillwater. And I was doing 4 Populous meetings a month for almost 18 months. And that was entirely because I wanted to go and I wanted to shadow the court heralds. I wanted to shadow the baronial heralds and see what court heraldry looked like from behind the thrones. Now, while I was doing that, I quickly realized I am amassing a lot of information. I'm talking to a lot of people. And this was before the internet really, before social media side of the internet really sunk in. And I was hearing about classes that weren't being widely talked about. I was meeting people who would love to come teach classes elsewhere, but they weren't widely known even outside their immediate group. I was hearing about practices where the groups were saying, we'd love to get more people to come in to our practices from outside of our group. And we were just getting into email at that point. Email was kind of still a new thing, and a lot of people were using it. So I started a podcast called The Black Feather News, and that ran for, I want to say 15 months. What ultimately canned it wasn't any lack on my part. And I had a good subscriber base. We were tracking the downloads, and a lot of people were downloading the audio and listening to the newscasts I did every month. My job situation changed. I wasn't able to travel anymore. Really, that was the end of that. But I really enjoyed the idea of collecting information, of getting a nice, polished package together and presenting it to people. That was something I really enjoyed. I pursued voice heraldry for years after that. As to no one's surprise, I've gotten into list heraldry and sight heraldry. And kind of the big event that began the trajectory of where I am today was Gulf Wars, probably 9 or 10 years ago, I guess about 9 years ago now, when I was asked to come and help with sight heraldry there, and made a lot of friends. And that put me on track to accomplish a lot of what I have today. But about a year and I guess about 14 months now, so about 14 months ago, my family moved from Moonshadow down to Wiesenfeuer, and one of the first things I said was, if we're getting a house, I want a studio. And I didn't want a big studio. I didn't need a whole room just for this. But I wanted the ability to set up a studio. I wanted the ability to do a stage and camera and lighting setup so I could do videos. And as you're going to see, we're going to be able to, I'll be able to show you guys all the equipment that goes into it. This is, of course, my office. I work here 8 hours a day, and it's also my home office, and it's also my personal office. I video game on my desktop setup. I do classes on my desktop. I mean, I spend a lot of time in this room. As you can see overhead in the photos here, I love Star Wars and I love Legos, so I've got a lot of those up. Of course, right over here to my left, I've got a couple of photographs and two of the certificates that are very important to me. They're not SCA related, but they are very important to me, so I display them in my room. I've got my general pegboard here where I keep odds and ends and more stuff coming. Right over here, I've got my personal bookshelves, which are about half full of books and the other half, just odds and ends. Now, of course, my computer desk, which you will see right here. Like I said, that's where all the magic happens. That's where I earn a paycheck, and that's where I do all the video editing for these videos. When I'm off work, that's where I play video games. Currently got a roaring addiction to Kerbal Space Program, and I'm also kind of getting back into Hunter Call the Wild. I just really enjoy the artistry that went into that game. Now, right here, a little closer to my left here, is the folding half of my desk. Now the bottom corner of that, you'll notice, is just kind of a flat black box, and that's actually a cat box. I, of course, have seen the video of Bella, the studio cat, and that's her own little private corner where she gets to do her thing, and she doesn't have to contend with any of the other cats. And of course, you can see kind of falling off the edge of the top of this desk here is her cat bed and her water. This is very much her place. I'm only in here, 90% of my waking hours, but she's here 24/7, and she'll never ever let me forget that. You're going to, if you look overhead here, and I'm sure you'll see in the photograph, I've got, I think the technical term is proscenium. I'm not a theater geek, so I don't know all the terminology correctly, but I've got a bit of a rigging system here for my backdrops. And these backdrops are interchangeable. They are not stapled or nailed. They actually have clips to rigid bars, and I'm able to adjust the height, so this lands exactly where I need it to. If I were to just hang it from the ceiling, the bottom of it would be like kind of here with my shoulder, and if I were to hang it much lower, I mean, it really just kind of does the job I need it to. But if I pull that camera back too far, you're going to see the edges of it. It's not what I want for a visual presentation. I'm running this on a 4K camcorder, which has a power cord. I mean, it has a battery, but I run it off of AC power. I've got my key light, which is right here. And of course, we start with my backlight. And that shines straight down and goes down on the curtain. And then you have my fill light, which is right here, and it's coming off of a diffuser. I'm running a cut rate, I think it's about $45 shotgun microphone, which gives me really good sound quality in this environment. I don't anticipate it would do well outdoors, at least not in a windy environment, but one of the reasons I like a studio setting is it lets me get really good sound. And I generally tend to film 4 or 5 segments at a time, so I'll really have to pull all this out once a month. Other than that, you'll see right here, this whole thing just folds up against the wall, and I can get it out of the way. That way I'm not losing space to it. Now, these shelves you're seeing here that have been kind of my backdrop for a couple months now, these are shelves I made. This is cut wood, plywood actually, but I stained it, and it's fitted straight into the to the wall. I've found the joist and mounted them in, and these right here are there specifically for backdrop. This whole thing is positioned for visual effect of these videos, but most everything else in my room is much more practically positioned. I really have it set up to be functional. I'm not like super aesthetically minded in that respect. Um, in terms of what I like to film, I've actually had a lot of people ask me, how do I decide what subjects I want to film? And I just kind of keep my ear to the ground, see what questions are being asked. I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of friends who are newer to the SCA, so I just kind of notice, what do they ask about, what do they not know. That helps guide me. Um, it really is kind of an open forum at this point. If you have a question about something in the SCA, chances are outstandingly good you're not the only one. Let me know what it is. I'll be happy to add it to the list. We'll see what we can do with it. So that's the tour, and I don't really feel like that adds anything to your SCA experience, but I do want my viewers to understand that this is a really shoestring operation that I do as a labor of love. This is not monetized. I don't make any money off of it. I don't want to make any money off of this. I want to help you learn a little bit more about this game, because honestly, the more you learn, the more you know about it, the more fun you can have. So, until the next event, goodbye. God bless.